great to have you here. And I'd like to first start with introductions. So my name's Henry Lusengor, and I am founder and CEO of Promoting Economic Pluralism that set up the Festival for Change. And I'd also like to ask Lalit Kishore Bhati to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Lalit Kishore Bhati. I am an architect and urban planner by profession. And I live and work in Auroville. Auroville is an international cultural township in South India near Pondicherry. It is based on the spiritual vision of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and we have 3,000 people from 55 countries engaged in many wide-ranging activities towards, say, holistic and integral living. So one can check out more about Auroville, just simply Google, and the wide range activity right from soil and water conservation, community self-governance, alternative education, economy, architecture, building construction technology, social entrepreneurship, bioregional activities. There are many things. So this is me.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lalit. Welcome, Lindsay. Arrived just in time.
I'm so sorry. We've got terrible weather down here, and our internet is all over the place. But anyway, I finally made it through. So
that's good. This is the challenge of doing things online. You never know quite, especially when they're live. So thanks, Lindsay. Could you just quickly introduce yourself?
Of course. Yeah, so I'm Lindsay. I'm the Chief Exec of the Real Ideas organisation. We're based in the UK, in southwest England, at the moment in wet and windy Cornwall. And we do a lot of work with really three things. So it's about how do we work with people who have good ideas and help them to really put them in practice. That's the sort of core of what we're about. And we do that in terms of supporting children and young people. And we have numerous examples, both in the UK and actually around the world, of projects we've done supporting young people to develop social enterprises. And then we also do that with other social entrepreneurs in the UK, and then we've ended up running a number of our own social enterprises too. So that's the brief summary.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lindsay. So Ashna, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. So hi everyone, I'm Ashna. I'm currently in second year of my college and I'm studying psychology. I've been born and brought up in Calcutta, even though I'm from Rajasthan. And I guess that's about it. I'm the project director of Project Ruhani, and we'll be presenting that today along with Ria. And Ria is my colleague, and I think over to you, Ria, now.
Ria.
Hello everybody, I am Ria Gupta, and I am also a second year at Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi, and I'm pursuing BCom Honors, which is Commerce, and I live in Delhi, and Ashna is my colleague, and I also am project director at Ruhani, and we are very glad to be here and will be presenting. Looking forward to it.
Thanks very much, Ashna and Ria, and congratulations, I like to say first, because as a finalist, that is a brilliant achievement, and we see all our finalists as winners because you've all produced some fantastic ideas and are hugely motivated and talented people. So first, can we have then a brief presentation on Project Ruhani, and then we'll have a chance, I'll ask the members of the panel to ask you questions so we can discuss your project.
Definitely. So is it okay if I share my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, please do let me know if my screen is visible.
It's fine.
All right, so if my screen is visible, I believe we can start. I'd have to switch off my camera till the time I'm sharing my screen because of the internet issues, but I'll turn it back on once the pitch is done. I hope that's okay. Okay, so I'll start now. W.B. Yeats once said, "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." In India, schools were seen as sacred places where children blossomed into beautiful individuals. Today, education systems are characterized by rote learning and lengthy syllabuses. In such a situation, the youth always finds itself emotionally and psychologically empty. There is nothing more vulnerable, yet nothing more revolutionary than a child's mind. Most importantly, nothing more transformational about what a child can bring into the future. The children The children in a post lockdown world will be tattered by the trauma of a pandemic. Having been locked behind doors, what they would need now, more than ever, is an empathetic environment that brings them closer to the spirit of humanity. After a year of working with young adults in the field of mental health, we have realized that mental health problems manifest themselves at young ages and snowball into grave issues which are then internalized in adulthood. Envisioning to reclaim the lost meaning of education, Project Ruhani decided to step in. Children in India need more time to be just children, to do what their age demands them to do, to talk, to play, to talk freely and unashamed, and simply enjoy the ripest and the simplest age of their lives. We believe that childhood is the scaffold of tomorrow. When this scaffold is weak, tomorrow crumbles. Our vision molds children to be the torch bearers of a community of people who are empathetic and understanding, creating ripple effects for a society with lesser crime, lesser pain, lesser crime, and more joy.
Therefore, our proposal is as follows. We seek to introduce the idea of social and emotional learning, SEL, through our program in classrooms. The SEL program, following the Cassell framework, will equip children in 5 main competencies, which are self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, relationship management, and decision making. Equipping students with these core competencies at a young age results in improved classroom behavior and increased ability to manage stress and depression and better attitudes about themselves, others, and school. Additionally, learning SEL curricula at the kindergarten level is connected to favorable outcomes in young adulthood, including lessened criminal activity, educational achievement, employability, and good mental health. The program features are as follows. Through SEL lessons, we wish to talk about a variety of topics which often go unnoticed by schools. With a vision of tackling the looming climate crisis from a young age, we wish to include programs like plantation, rainwater harvesting, and gardening in schools for the long term future. Additionally, plants have the added benefit of lowering anxiety levels, stress levels, and increasing attentiveness, memory, productivity, and creativity. These programs would also include telling them why to reduce the usage of plastic and ask for alternative, economically viable, yet environmentally sustainable solutions. To make them more confident, we wish to introduce peer circles in schools, which are small groups of children who would be involved in not just sharing of feelings, but also of solution driven ideas on the 17 sustainable goals. These circles would promote divergent and convergent thinking, the spirit of togetherness, and support the belief that what cannot be done alone happens together. We recognize that each child has varied needs, and each child deserves to craft the future just as equally as the next. Thus, we envision to include special programs for children with learning disabilities and neurodevelopmental disorders to promote a sensitive, inclusive, and safe school environment.
This revolutionary program would be carried out and made sustainable by training the teachers of the schools. This training would be done by mental health professionals and would include a lucid account of how important it is to deal with one's own emotions and thoughts, an understanding of the 5 competencies of the Cassell framework, and the implementation of our school wellness program as a whole. The same program will be replicated in low income schools. These children are literate but are often deprived of a holistic, all round development that children of the privileged community are otherwise blessed with. To measure and quantify our progress, we would be conducting pre and post surveys of school children, teachers, and parents to better understand their current and post needs. Self reports, questionnaires, and focus group discussions would also help us document the same. Our way forward would be collaborating with nascent organizations working on SEL who can implement it with us and take it forward in different schools, meticulously collecting feedback and ensuring sustainability. This program will be implemented in phases, first in primary schools, where each element would be tried and tested to meet the social, emotional, and cultural needs of our children. Through Ruhani, we're shooting a hope of ray into the world where children are transformed into resilient change makers who build a future block by block towards a society we've always dreamt of.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very impressive presentation indeed. And can you stop in the screen sharing? That would be great.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And welcome back on your cameras. Brilliant. Well, I'd like to start by asking Lalit maybe to open the discussion.
Thank you very much for sharing this presentation. It is excellent. So in terms of children to be, what I can share also from my background on also Orwell approach in philosophy. So Mother, the founder of Orwell, she talks about the joy of learning. So, and Shri Aurobindo says that we all have the seed within. So the role of both parental, the home setup, as well as the educational should be to nurture this seed so that each person realizes, manifests their own potential. So I can see very well, I can relate and align with the overall line of thought. So in terms of the idea, concept and approach, I think it is excellent. It is much needed. Absolutely fine. Now I have some practical question to ask. So is it boiling down as a project Ruhani to the teacher training activity? This is one I have. Is it a teacher training activity finally, or something else that you will be yourself taking part, taking up some pilot schools and monitoring it or something like that? So I just need a bit more idea or a clarity, like how much you have thought out. I'm not aware what is the, how much you have thought through, or has it been tested in the past? So something on that would be helpful.
Okay, so I'll perhaps talk about the teacher training bit. So, sir, essentially, we'll be training the teachers in the main competencies that are outlined in the model, and this training would be undertaken by mental health professionals. So, once the teachers have been trained, then this model would be implemented with the children. So, the final outcome of the model is to inculcate SEL in classroom learning, and the step towards it would be starting by training the teachers. Ashna, would you
So
want to answer the second part?
this is
Um,
just one second. This
Yes.
part is clear, but after you have trained the teachers with the help of mental health professionals, what is your role? Are you still involved when the activity is happening in the school? Are you attending, a follow up is happening, or is it left to a teacher now to take it up further?
No, sir. So, answering your question, our program does not boil down to just teacher training. What teacher training is essentially a part of our program and not our program. So,
Sure.
our entire team right now is working on the SEL curriculum. And by curriculum, we mean that under each competency, we are meticulously researching and trying to find activities that will suit the Indian socio-cultural background for our children. So once that curriculum is made, we would be helping the teachers and the schools to implement it. And of course, at one point of time, we would have to leave the school, but we will make sure that with the other organization that we hope to collaborate with, they would keep on going back to the schools and keep on having assessments like surveys, questionnaires, and self reports, like we mentioned in our project. So they would keep quantifying the data and checking whether our entire program actually is working out and whether it's actually beneficial for the kids and the school. So our involvement that way will be very holistic and very core to the project.
So, sir, the
Okay.
follow ups will be quite regular. So, they can be bi monthly, and according to the need, we'll be revisiting the school and checking on the project.
Can I do a follow-up? Because I mean, had you thought of trying to do a pilot or working with particular groups? Because it's quite, I mean, obviously training all teachers in India is a huge, and normally you do trials first, don't you?
No, definitely, sir. We will definitely do a pilot. And actually, this entire program is coming from our experience last year in doing workshops in a lot of schools, primary schools that we did with EDMC. So we realized that, just workshops don't work out. And right now we are preparing a curriculum that first will be piloted probably with a small group of children, in one school. And then, as we said, everything would be done in phases. We'll phase it out slowly and we'll try each and every element as and when one element works out very well in one school.
Brilliant. Well, we seem to, our other panelist, Lindsay, seems to be having technical problems. So just taking another topic, I'd really like to know where your idea initially came from, because you say last year you were doing workshops. So obviously this has been, ideas been developing for some time. Where did it come from? What inspired you to get involved in this?
So, sir, as Ashna mentioned, like we'd be conducting workshops with children in the past year, and these workshops had been circling around how to manage your emotions, how to increase your confidence, all of that. But, sir, we realized that, and plus, since the pandemic, we've also been conducting various workshops with young adults. So, these are students and children from the age of 18 to say 25. So we realized that in the process of these workshops, that by the time people reach this age, so the problems or the issues that crop up manifest themselves and they increase such an extent that it becomes very difficult to intervene. So that is how we thought that an early intervention is very important at the school level.
But Ria, going back, because presumably,
Right.
How come you had these workshops in the first place? Where did the idea come from for the workshops? Have you been studying this or what?
So, mental health is a very big taboo and yet a very big problem in India. So, as a psychology student personally, I've been studying a lot about the kind of mental health problems that adolescents face and how they snowball into adulthood, right? So, that's when the entire passion towards doing something for the mental health of our country, where so many students are suiciding at a large number, actually came. So we wanted to launch a project on mental health, but we didn't have a very good direction. So we thought that it's best to test and try in the field itself. So we started talking to mental health professionals, and we started talking to people, and then slowly we started doing workshops in mental health, which was directed at one particular issue that a person would probably have. So for instance, I'm a university student, so I have a lot of stress. So we started conducting workshops around stress after talking to a lot of people that this is their problem. And then slowly we realized that there are more problems. So there were more sessions. But then we realized that sessions are not the way to deal with problems, because you have a session and you tell them that this is what you can do, post the session, and these are the coping mechanisms that you can use. But mental health is way more complex and it goes way deeper than that. And there is no way to ensure that the person would actually be able to do that, because it's mental health and it's deep. So this is when we realized that we needed a more permanent foundational solution, and we needed to start early, because by the time you're 18, 19, by the time you're 30, by the time you go into corporates, your entire life is kind of directed towards work and mortgages and money. And even though physical health becomes very important, people in India specifically do not want to think about mental health. So after speaking to a lot of parents, I asked my own mother that what is it that will make you believe in the power of therapy and in the power of mental health. So she told me that in India, schools are a very foundational solution for any problems. So the reason why we believe in moral education is because your school had a period for moral science. But the reason why we don't believe in therapy was because your school never told us that mental health was important, or because your school never had a school counselor or therapy. And that's when it's struck us that, okay, we need to start from a place that is socially acceptable and a place where change actually begins, where change is born. And that's how we came to the solution of a school wellness program.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's amazing what you've done. You've obviously been through a whole process of investigation, talking, trialing, and exploring, which shows you've got a very solid foundation, haven't you? Lindsay, I'm sorry you've obviously been having further technical problems. We initially talked about whether this was just about training teachers and discovered that it's also about monitoring, but piloting and so on. And we just had a discussion about the origins of where the ideas came from. What would you like to ask?
I think it's fascinating, you know, and really, you know, exciting. And I completely agree with you that particularly working with young children is where it needs to start. And there's lots of research, I'm sure you've looked at it, that comes at this from a whole variety of directions. And if you've not come across him, do Google Sir Ken Robinson, because he's done some really fantastic work about the idea that actually up until about 5 years old, most children display, you know, a variety of behaviours which education essentially squashes out of them if we're not careful. So anyway, that's an aside. The bit I'm interested in is, I guess, is the sort of longevity and sustainability of this. So I wonder if you could just say a little bit more about the business model and how are you going to sort of make this work within a financial context, I guess.
So ma'am, we are planning to first implement it in private schools. So as when we talk about sustainability, since we've already mentioned before that we'd be collaborating with a nascent organization who's also working with SEL, and they would go on, returning back to the schools and actually taking surveys and self-reports to find out how effective our program is. But when it comes to money and the kind of grants that we need, since Ruhani is very nascent in its terms, so we'll have to first charge a certain amount from schools itself in the beginning. So for now, till what our calculation is, we would like to charge every child with around 55 rupees INR, international rupees, and that culmination of we'd be taking that because we'd need to pay the mental health professional who'd be working with us, along with all the logistical and travel costs that our team would be, kind of facing. And after that, whatever is left, we'd be using that amount of money into low income schools or government schools where children cannot really pay that much. So we're putting on hopes on private schools, and we're also trying to get in touch with the government right now so that we can, we can have a more foundational solution to it. Because once a government says that SEL is necessary and that mental health is necessary, there are transformational changes in the country. So we're getting in touch with the government as well, and we've been talking to a lot of individuals outside our country looking for grants. So the entire financial process is on. But in terms of our business model, we would be charging a certain amount from the private schools that we would be introducing our programs in.
And have you approached a private school? Have you got any that are prepared to pay for anything yet?
So ma'am, not very honestly, not yet, because we are still in the process of making. But we do realize it's going to be a tough process. But we've seen a lot of SEL programs going on in schools, which are very temporary in nature for 2-3 months, and schools have been paying for that. So if schools have been ready to pay for a program that is so temporary in nature, it would be revolutionary for them to pay for it for 2 months that actually sustains itself. So we're going to pitch and we're going to try our best to do what we're doing. So we're being very hopeful about that.
Yes, ma'am. And with respect to the pilot, we've been speaking to organizations, and a few of them have very positively responded to our model, and they have agreed to try a pilot with us. So we are in talks with a lot of people, and hopefully we'll get a pilot in place.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. We're now just about to run out of time, but it's been fantastic hearing more about your project, and it is really inspiring, and we really hope we can help you raise the profile. We will be launching all the finalists online on Monday, and promoting people to vote on them. It's really, the vote is just a matter of trying to get people engaged, to look at the different projects and raise your profile, and hopefully that will bring more interest and help you. We'll also be looking to write an article about your project and also connect you as far as possible with people who might be able to help you along your road. But I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
sir.
so much. And
Thank
you for
you.
this
Excellent,
opportunity.
excellent effort.
Thank you.
Thank
Brilliant.
you, sir.
Wonderful.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you,
I can put you in touch with some people, those who have been on a very similar line. We in Auroville, we have been running a program called Swadharma, like Find Your True Calling, and we received many participants. It was a 5-week residential program, and there were many people in that, those who came from a very similar kind of background, those who wanted to teach, particularly underprivileged students and children. So they have gone through that program and developed again curriculum. So the whole thing is to integrate things. So it is not about just talking about mental health issues. So if even if you are teaching math, the way math is being approached, it takes care of most of these elements. Otherwise, developing a concept and just talk about this, and when they see the flow of other activities in their life, including the families are big stakeholder in this. Somehow bringing them in this whole loop is very key. So they feel secure. I think in the first 7 years is the key. Thank you,
Thank you
and all
very
the
much,
best.
Lalit. Well, hopefully maybe you can talk further to Ashna and Ria and put them in touch
I'll
with
be happy.
people to help
I'll be
develop their
happy to do
thinking.
that.
That would
Thanks
be
very
great.
much,
Yes,
and
sir.
we will be in touch with you further.